let's see if our next panel is able to convert you. Up next, we are diving deeper into this very specific topic of doing business, shopping, banking, and finance within the metaverse. And I'm curious, raise your hand if you have been in the metaverse before. 2 people, no, like 10 of you maybe. The rest of you, why not? Shout it out at me. Why have you not been in the metaverse yet? I have not been in the metaverse personally because I don't know how to get there. I don't really understand what the steps are. I live in London and there's all these posters in the subway advertising the metaverse and all the cool things we're going to be able to do. But I need some techie person to come take me by the hand and say, this is how you actually get here. Here's the tool you use. And I'm hoping that this next panel is going to do a little bit of that for us and a little bit of future casting. So please give a very warm welcome to our next panel. It is moderated by the head of digital banking and financial services at Bitkom, Kevin.
So, great evening. How's the energy level going? It's a pleasure to have you all here. And another panel on the metaverse. I'm so happy to have such a versatile panel of experts up on stage. And I would really like to know, Sarah already started with asking what is your view on the metaverse or whether you have used it. So just by a quick show of hands, who of you could think of putting on VR glasses to actually try on trousers or a t-shirt? Who could imagine? Okay, cool. Who could imagine going to the bank? A few less people. So I'm pretty curious because I think the last 20 years or so we tried to actually get every service, financial services, e-commerce, into our cell phones, and now we are building physical stores, so to say, again in the metaverse. Why this is useful and why companies should start digging a bit deeper on the issue, I'm going to find out with you guys. I'm very happy, and I'm starting at the outside to have Thomas here from GS1, who's a retail expert. A big round of applause for Thomas, please. Thank you. Then we have Martin representing the banking sector, board member of DekaBank. Martin, happy to have you.
Thank you.
And Hanbing, head of innovation from the ERGO group, so the insurance sector. Hanbing, happy to have you.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Anna from yoona.ai, trying to enable other players to actually get the metaverse idea going. Hi, Anna.
Hello, thank you.
So maybe I triggered it a bit, or I tried to trigger it in the introduction. Just as a quick intro, I would be interested, what was your, so to say, eureka moment? So when did it struck you that actually, okay, we as a business have to move or start exploring the metaverse? Thomas, maybe starting with you.
Thanks. Yeah, perhaps my greater moment is a couple of years back, as I was working for IBM and we are talking about Second Life. Who of the gray-haired people is remembering Second Life? Some of them. So this was not working really well these days, a decade back, but I think this time it's quite different. And yeah, like always, every new thing goes through 3 phases. First you laugh about it, then you fight it, and then you copy it. Yeah? Remembering the iPhone, nobody will have a screen on his ear. This was the Nokia CEO. And then we fight it, saying the battery is crap, there's no keyboard on it, and so on and so forth. And today, look to the smartphones, they all look like the same. And I think Metaverse will run through the same phases. Today, perhaps some people laugh about it, some others are starting to fight it. At the end of the day, we will be there.
We'll get to that in a second, Thomas. Thanks for the introduction. So Second Life was the moment for Thomas. Martin, when was it struck you for the company, so to say?
Well, let's put it this way. Second Life is very often used in terms of why on earth we're doing this, because it hasn't worked 15 years ago, so why would it work now? Maybe just from a background, DekaBank is an innovation leader on the savings bank sector. And sometimes some of you would say, well, innovation and savings bank don't work together. I'm sure that we could prove you wrong. We've started our blockchain activities 5 years ago, and we're extremely interested in digital asset, digitizing the whole process. And having done that, having outsourced our blockchain activities into a fintech, last April I said, so what's next? And I said, well, let's open a presence in the metaverse. And I guess half of the people on the sort of management team had to look it up what it was. And really, for us, it's research and development. And I think the biggest challenge for us is to still use it as a communication channel for the younger generation. If you look at Roblox, Roblox has 200 million kids of the age of 13 and lower, which is 10% of YouTube's community. If you think about that, these are present there every single day. And so it's only a question when this generation will come up for its, whether it's insurance services, whether it's banking services. And so we have to try and have to find out. And I think the means to do this is just by going for a project. So we don't call it Metaverse, we have our own domain, it's called DekaVerse. And I have a diverse team of, 20 people between 20 and 30, and we're just trying out. We're literally playing without a unique business case, but it's research and development. And I think the more you try out, the better it works and the more chances you actually see.
Martin, thanks for the introduction. Also like the term DekaVerse, quite creative there. Insurances are not always known to be like very at the forefront of digitization. I hope, don't get me wrong, but you were a first mover. So when did you start at ERGO Group?
I hope I can change your imagination and thinking about insurance today. And we had kind of more than one moment on our journey. For example, the first moment I realized, okay, it's quite interesting to try out interaction engagement within the virtual, VR world is our CDO, Mark Klein, my boss. He started hosting the meetings with his direct report, monthly meetings in VR since more than 3 years. And every month we meet there in the virtual world as a room, and we also built the ERGO presence in Outspace, which has been shut down unfortunately, but we move it to Arthur. And this is the moment of saying, okay, we see the interaction, we see the value added. My personal highlight is our project VR sales training for our sales agents. And our project lead is sitting there, Tao, and very proud of this project. We got a lot of awards there, and basically we get the feedback from our sales agents that they can improve their sales consultation, practice their conversations with 4 different types of customers as many times as they want without being judged by observers in real world. And that is, so I really see more value from this so VR, AR, mixed reality approach. But I will save my highlight, maybe we'll come to that. That is our new baby, launched on the same day as Apple announced Vision Pro. For later, maybe I can show you one example later on. Yeah.
Thanks for the introduction. Then maybe Anna, to round it up. I mean, your company was built, so to say, Metaverse native. What did you experience across different sectors? Are you very active in the fashion sector that told you, well, there's something I can throw in there. I can be part of this.
Yeah, thank you. So I was a fashion designer myself. I was working over 15 years in the fashion industry, and then I felt only like a drawing machine. So I thought I have to change that. I learned coding and I wrote a software. I went back to university, building a research group, having a look how AI can implement it in the product creation. And then we built Yoona. Yoona is a platform, and we are creating AI products in seconds. But then we thought, okay, we have this platform, we're creating digital fashion in seconds, but what is the next step? And we founded Yoonaverse. It's like the same like DekaVerse. Yoonaverse, and in Yoonaverse we have a physical conference. It's one day during Berlin Fashion Week, but we also have built together with Immersive, it's also a Berlin company, the Berlin Metaverse. And of course, now we create digital fashion by AI, but we can directly implement it in the metaverse. It's more sustainable. You can do AI testings, A/B testings, and the goal is, of course, that in the future, one time, we all wearing only digital clothing and not physical clothing anymore.
Get it. Just before we are continuing, Thomas, I see the question marks just right over your head, so I tell you why the acoustics up here are pretty bad. So I just don't wonder, but I think if you all move a bit closer together, I hope this is fine with everyone, we could have a better discussion.
Yes, I realized that
It's
as well.
really difficult.
Ask the questions by walking around.
Yeah.
So
Not a question of age.
maybe Thomas, I think this was a great bridge. Anna, you started about potential upturns in the fashion industry. Like one of those is sustainability. So I guess in the retail sector, it's similar. So what are like some key drivers that motivate you to starting exploring? And I like the idea, Martin. We are exploring. We don't know necessarily where we're going, but we are exploring. But maybe you see some similarities here.
I think most and all foremost is that we have not only to understand the metaverse, this only gets the Boopy prize. We have to experience it at the very end. And because based on the fact that the metaverse in our nowadays environment is a really complex thing, the good thing on complex stuff is you cannot think about it and you cannot think it through. You have to try it, you have to experimentate, you have to just start doing it, learning out of it, change it, doing something different. And in such an environment, we set up a physical space in Cologne where we experimentate with the metaverse, combining our consumer product companies and the retail companies and building together in a very collaborative way and manner, bringing all the knowledge together, what might be retail in the future look like in a metaverse type environment where you combine the physical store advantages with the online retail advantages into a totally new dimension where you enter, at the end of the day, where you enter your personal store with your preferred assortments. And if you pick something out of the shelf, you get all the related products to that. And it's all what is unthinkable today, we can try and experimentate. And at the very end, you can build something like my store, where my preferred brands from food, from non-food, from fashion, from consumer electronics are built into my personal store, and think about these experiences and come a little bit closer to that, test it, learn it, experimentate it. That's where we built a physical place in Cologne around and want to open in October to learn from each other, because this is nothing what anybody can do alone and think it through and make a project plan and build it. No, we have to test and fail and learn and do it again. And
Is it like maybe you can share from some feedback circles, like maybe some initial thoughts you had that turned out wrong or even better? So can you give us a few how this experimenting looked down in Cologne?
I think being an open-minded and coming together and bringing the knowledge to the table and be willing to collaborate with others. It's not like a spy. What are you doing? I'm not telling you what I'm doing. I mean, this is a great learning field for everybody, and we will be able to walk much longer if we go this way together. And that's the collaborative element onto that. If you want to be fast, then you can go alone. But if you want to reach out very far, then you better go together. And that's the attitude we built in the community of consumer products and retail companies, and building this together. It's
interesting, and I really like the idea you just put on the platter, which is individualization. So you can basically prepare everything tailored to your needs. So maybe Anna, I guess you're working with different clients. Is this like a challenge for you, like to meet these different needs? I guess everyone has a certain perspective, what he or she is thinking when talking about metaverse. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, this is the reason why we founded Universe, because we're bringing people in one day together to talk physically about all the technology, but bringing them also in the metaverse, in the Berlin metaverse, to test everything. I mean, in fashion, maybe all these digital fashion shows with avatars, but we have millions of possibility to showcase there. And at the end, also the companies have to understand. For example, with Universe, we reached in 1 year 355 million reaches. So you can reach the whole world if you suddenly build a metaverse and build your shop in the metaverse. So we are doing like this conference and have it like a learning verse to experiment and that everybody understands, because we have the impression that it's not understood right now.
Get it.
No.
Maybe back to the financial sector, Martin. Individualization, reaching larger audience. What is your view on that, and what were your learnings on those two factors, maybe?
Well, we've been in there for 1 year. We basically started last year. After 2 months, we were up and running with a presence, and it's been an interesting and sometimes bumpy way. Setting up, buying a piece of land, which for a bank is difficult when you don't want to have bitcoins and all the other bits and pieces, and finance and compliance and all these people to deal with it. That's sort of the one side of the life. The other life is opening a presence and then just saying, okay, it's a house and let's fill various rooms. One room is just with an NFT donation club. So people can come in there, can look at it. And second idea for us is we have a sort of 15, 20-year-old art collection, just actually digitalizing that art collection, bringing it in there as well. We have a nice balcony, and we are happy to invite customers just to take a journey. And obviously young people, for example, who want to look at job facilities or job things. The other thing, we've done a so-called NFT donation with a famous guy who came and invited the kids of the Arche, which is, I think, a well-known project in Germany. They painted, and we then digitalized these as NFTs. And any NFT that was sold, we donated to the Arche. So it was for a good benefit. By the same token, we were able to reach people probably my age and younger to just even get a wallet. Because let's face it, as long as you don't have a wallet, it's just not as immersive as it can be. So you have to persuade different people, not the Generation Z or the others, but you have to persuade them that the wallet is a means to get digital assets, to get NFTs, but also to become part of the metaverse. Mm. And so we are sort of exploring various routes. And if I look forward, I mean, some of you said you could imagine doing that. I mean, we have 350 saving banks in Germany, and each and one of them will not be able to do and service its client with all its need. I could imagine at a certain stage also to say, well, here is your direct approach, here is your current advisor, and he's sitting with you together in a virtual room in the metaverse and giving you advice. Let's talk about your finance, what are your needs or other things. Mm. So it's research and development, and whilst we have practical issues, we also sometimes find out it doesn't work. But I think for us to create a digital sneaker at the OMR, it's something most people wouldn't have anticipated, and yet it was a means for us to interact and I guess to persuade people that banking can be sexy.
Very, very interesting. And you already picked something up. I want to dig a bit deeper in just a couple of minutes, namely what is needed, or maybe what other innovative cycles need to come together to actually put everything to the next level. But maybe one question right back at you: the NFT thing you were doing with Arche, was like educating a broader audience also a reason for this? And how do you see maybe to all of you? Do you see like an educational task for broader masses to actually get this going? How do you see this in your company? Maybe starting with you, Martin.
Well, I think education always has a little connotation of, being as a teacher. I would rather call it making people interested, getting them interested in the new media, and do that with a reliable partner. And obviously, the trustworthiness is a very important element. And I'm sure next year we will have our crypto custody up and running. And I'm sure that a majority of people will be happy to come to DekaBank because it's one of the highly rated entities. That's one of those elements which would help. And getting them interested and saying, yes, you can explore these routes also with us. You have a safe and secure wallet, and you can explore with us new technologies and immerse yourself into this area is clearly desirable. And it's also, I guess from an employer's perspective, it is necessary to actually be customer-centric. And the next generation has a different focus. So it doesn't help if people like me say, well, I don't need it, which I don't. I have in my wallet. But it's a question of, can you actually keep up with the development of young people and how they actually interact? And I'm sure if the Roblox generation gets to buy its first security, we have to fight that they come to us.
Hanbing, how do you generate interest, and how are you looking at the different user groups?
Yeah, this is the example I saved for now, and it's perfect timing because I totally agree with the younger generation point of view. I know exactly how much time my son spends in Roblox and Minecraft every day. A little bit shame on it, but that is a reality. And also based on McKinsey's study from last year, that Generation Z and millennials in the US expected to spend 4 to 5 hours a day in Metaverse for working, for life, for shopping, for entertainment in next 5 years. And if part of that comes true, we want to be there where our customers are and in the future, right? And so at ERGO, we have this ambition to achieve digital leadership in the insurance industry, in our core markets. And one of our strategies is omni-channel. We provide all the channels to customers. They can reach out and they can choose the channels freely. And for us, Metaverse is one channel. And for that, we tested a new ERGO VR experience. I know the name is really boring, but if you Google ERGO VR experience, you can find our application. Basically, it is end-to-end immersive experience with customers. End-to-end, why? Because you can do the consultation with avatar in a mixed reality environment and play around with our customers and with our sales colleagues in one room, as you imagine. And then we can show insurance, illustrate insurance. And for example, I always tell the story, if you want to explain to the younger generation what is household insurance, you can just take your house or apartment and turn it over. Everything falls down is covered by insurance. It's a kind of education or interest, awareness, whatever you call it, and we can close contract directly in our Metaverse. It's not like sitting together with customers and looking at the internet page. No, it's really immersive experience, and you will be in this environment surrounded by mountains, and they will tell story, the helicopter is coming, and so on, in order to explain what could happen. And that is our new baby.
Anna, Thomas, anything you'd like to add to the perspective in terms of raising interest?
Yeah, I mean, I work in the field of innovation since years, AI's innovation and Metaverse innovation. And we get a lot of interest, but we do a lot of education with all the companies, with everyone, because neither AI nor Metaverse is like a common theme. And I really like to work in this field because we onboard a lot of more clients with that because of the interest, and they come out with a lot of knowledge and with a new business model maybe sometimes. Yeah.
So maybe moving on, you said there are other factors that coming in. So what is actually needed? You're like on an exploring mission at this stage, if it's fair to say so. You said we need wallets. We need virtual VR glasses. Is there anything else that needs really to accelerate what you are currently doing, or put it to like a level where the masses will use it?
I would say from the retail perspective, perhaps at the end of the day, what consumer shoppers always wants to have is convenience. Convenience always wins. And we know this in retail up and down. So as soon as you are able to provide these new Metaverse retail stores with a convenience factor, which is really second to none, then you are able to move things forward. And when is this moment coming? I would say this moment is coming if you are able to combine the emotional store feeling with the efficiency of online shopping into a totally new experience in a Metaverse retailing in a very convenienced way. I think this is what shoppers will like, go forward, test it, start liking it, telling it to other people, and then it moves alongside. When this will be the right time, I don't even know. Very often we overestimate how fast things should happen, and we underestimate how massive they will come if they come. So don't ask me for a timeline, but I would say metaverse retailing or out of retail at the very end of the day, how long this journey will be, we will see. But it's very thrilling for us seeing this and being part of developing that.
How about banking?
Let's face it, I couldn't agree more. The convenience factor is clearly the one that wins. That's why if you go to Decentraland, where we are currently on, it's just a first stage, but it's just not realistic enough. So if you're into gaming, you have to go into a different area. Now, combining the secureness of an area with the actual experience is the challenge. Probably with 6G and a device which is probably next generation VR for Apple, you will very, very immediately get there. Does it mean it's adopted by, I don't know, 50% of the people? Probably not.
Okay.
But then again, if you think about technology, the iPhone took 10 years, or the smartphone, to be 100% present worldwide. Yeah. And at some stage, that technology will emerge. So yes, there is still a technological gap, but to me, it could be sort of closed in 5 years. And then it will not be a one-off where everything is in three-dimensional world. But think about, working together. Co-working, collaboration is so much easier. And maybe I wouldn't call it metaverse, but just in a more user-friendly environment. And then it becomes a different connotation. A lot of people think about it, I don't know whether you've seen Ready Player One. That's the dystopic idea of the metaverse. That's not what we're looking at. But if you run a small company or a big company like ours, I have 100 people in capital markets. Why not have 20 of them in some areas just working together in a virtual environment, which is much more immersive, much more efficient. So that's where I think the technology but also the experience will go.
Like the thought, and I guess it's like a gradual development, so to say, with some time down the line, some takeoff. Anna, maybe a critical question. I mean, of course, the three of you are all very legit, take it very seriously in what you're doing and how you're exploring the metaverse. But I was wondering in preparation, like, is there a ratio of those who are like really doing it and those who say, I don't know, I found some 10,000 leftover budget. I want to do something in the metaverse. So give us an insight about like your typical client or maybe people you refuse working with.
We don't have these clients, but I'm sure there are. No, we have more clients they're testing out, right? So for example, 2022 in summer, we tested with some companies. We did NFTs, also wanted to sell it in our metaverse. And we did a test, does the end consumer understand what they're selling? And we even found out that the normal end consumer right now does not get it. So nobody bought this NFT. So they sold a backpack, and the backpack was sold, but the NFT, nobody did get it. So no, it's more like that right now. Also in our metaverse, most of the companies are not creating NFTs. They are going to the normal shop, e-commerce. So this is right now our scene, what we see technology-wise.
Okay, interesting.
I want to add one thing to there. So ERGO is really serious about it is playing field. And so for me to add to the technology development, of course, is dependent on the technology development, hardware, software, infrastructure, and content, and so on and so on. But what we can do as a corporate, I would say the dedication, and to have a dedicated team who has the freedom and resource, capacity and also budget to work on it with management support. Because if I tell you in a big corporate, if you want to kill innovation, it's really easy. You just ask for every innovation project from day one to create a positive business case. You can kill every innovation. That's quite easy. And that's what I would like to add, what you need to have as the most important ingredient to work on it. And we are so dedicated, we created even a Metaverse unit.
Okay, so but again, I like the focus of saying how is it perceived within the company. I mean, take us back to the very beginning. I mean, all of you take this very seriously. You have a certain position within your company to push this, but I can only imagine you have the naysayers in the company saying this is just some innovative hocus pocus. How do you deal with them? How do you make them also be part of the journey? Thomas, you look like you want something to say.
On the retail side, I think it's easy. If you want to go into that area, if you want to open something in the metaverse, take it as serious as opening a store. And if you tell a retailer, take it as serious as opening a physical store, they know exactly what it means.
Okay.
Take it serious and have a little, not only passion, but some money and some commitment to really do this. And be a front runner might be really an opportunity here, but at the end of the day, it's R&D, it's a bet on the future, and that's why we think, especially in the first phases, let's do things together. Yeah? Let's collaborate, industry, retail, on a platform together, and make our first experiences together until we have a certain level of certainty how it can work for your own company, and from that on, we can go our ways. And this is perceived in a very positive way, exactly in the phase where we are, where we really don't know exactly where to go and how to go, where we are all experimenting. I think in this case, it's really right, like Angela Merkel said, the internet is something new for us. I think the metaverse is really something new for us at the moment, and treat it like that.
Well, I think it's most important that you have top management really dedication to it. You must create a protective room where people can just think out of the box. However, the challenge is, if you say, well, think out of the box, then most people have a second box, which is just a little larger, but still hinders them from actually thinking out of the box. So getting into this, okay, let's take us outside the usual banking and environment and just think of what we can do is essential. Yes, we do it seriously. I would counteract because we are not opening a store, but I can tell you, my people tell me about reputational risks and all the other sort of things. Best thing for us was never to really decide we shall do it, but rather sort of go on a journey and say, well, don't we open a presence? And then gradually move on from there, rather than saying, this is what we will be doing in the next 2 years. And it alters, it changes, and all of a sudden things come up, you want to go for it, and you say, yeah, why not? And you must be able to keep that speed and that momentum live. And as you said it earlier with the iPhone, first of all, people laughed about it, and then they said nobody needs it. That's probably the same experience. Now that it's out there and has a good recognition, I think the success has many fathers.
But maybe a quick question: did this also help you, maybe, or did you see this down the line to attract younger talent? Like, I mean, established companies like the two of you, do you see this already in the outset, like the perception of yours?
Yes,
Yeah,
we actually
yes,
said,
sure.
sorry.
Yeah.
So, very interesting, and I think this is just, if you want to look for talent, do innovative things. I guess this is also a takeaway I would like to give to you guys. We have 1 minute left, and we have a lot of people in here who are thinking of maybe getting started but haven't done so. What is like one advice, one sentence you can tell them they can take to the next Monday morning meeting where it's all about strategy? What should they do to like be passionate and try to get Metaverse going within their companies? Thomas, starting with you.
Perhaps the thing, my opinion is that understanding things really gets the booby or the second prize. Experience it, really experience it, gets the main prize, the super prize. And in that sense, just go out and start trying it. And don't make huge plans, multi-year business cases and things like that. Start doing something, learn out of it, and then go forward.
Start and learn, small steps, Martin.
Force your top management to really experience it by themselves rather than talking about prejudices. That's the most important part.
Yeah, totally agree. And plus, take employees with us, use the state-of-the-art technology to wow our customers. Be bold to try it out.
Yeah, and my experience is don't be afraid of failure and errors. Just go for it, go for the risk, and like you all said, test it, experience it, and yeah, try it out.
Anna, Hanbing, Martin, Thomas, thank you for taking our time. For those who are interested, those guys will be available in the speakers corner. So if you have any questions, go to them, ask them, and yeah, get the brain power and get going. I had a pleasure being up here. Wish you a nice evening with the rest of the program. That said, over to you, Sarah, with a very interesting topic to follow, as I think.
Okay.